Hi everyone, I hope the audio and video quality is good. Maybe let's wait few more seconds and we can get started. If you are online and if you can hear me properly and if you are on this Slack channel, please message and we can get started as soon as possible. Thanks Leo. Cool. Let's get started. So in today's session, we will be mostly focusing on GitHub Copilot. So GitHub Copilot launched like few years ago, like 2 years ago, I guess. I don't remember exactly, but I used GitHub Copilot when it was launched, and then I stopped using almost GitHub Copilot because the model was not really helpful, and I find it like not super helpful. Then for the last 8 months or 1 year, I've been using like Cursor. Cursor is amazing. Even in our sessions, in the last few lessons, we learned about Cursor, how to use it. But recently, what happened is GitHub Copilot, it got like very much advanced. They started using all the latest models like O1 Preview, O1 Mini, and even Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And soon they are going to integrate Gemini 1.5 Pro as well as those kind of models. So, and also it's currently a bit cheaper than Cursor, just $10 or $7. You can use a lot of other models, and it keeps. They also have a lot of features that's very similar to Cursor. So I find it a little bit helpful to use GitHub Copilot. And another reason to learn GitHub Copilot is, let's say your company uses like Microsoft products, probably they will be using GitHub Copilot rather than other AI providers. So it's good to use this tool as it belongs to like Microsoft. Don't have to worry about the security and other things. So it's good to learn Copilot. So in today's session, we will learn a little bit on Copilot on solving data science problems. Also, we will learn some little bit on other tools like Cursor, and I will also introduce few web development tools that we've been seeing in the past few lessons like V0, Bolt.new, Replit. Cool. Let's get started. So you don't have to code along with me, just watch what I'm doing and maybe make a note of these websites like Copilot, how to download those kind of things. Then once the session ends, you can do things on yourself, like just download and play with it. Let me. Cool. So first of all, for Copilot, to use Copilot, we need like Visual Studio Code. You have to download Visual Studio Code. Once it's downloaded, you have to install a plugin called Copilot. I'll show you how that looks like. So if you see this one, there are some extensions, and here you can do Copilot. Takes few seconds. Okay, GitHub Copilot, and also I installed a few things, GitHub Copilot Chat. So you can install these two extensions on VS Code. Once it's installed, we can access GitHub Copilot through few commands, as well as you can click this and access as well this button. Cool. And before accessing those things, you also have to log into your GitHub. So this is my personal account. You can just sign in GitHub. So once it's signed in, you can access Copilot, and Copilot is not free. I think we have to pay $10 or $8, something like that. It's a bit cheaper than other AI providers. So now let's do some data science projects with Copilot, and also I will do the same with Cursor, and we can compare how easy these things are. And there are some things we can do with Cursor, and there are some things we cannot do with Cursor, things like that. So we'll also do some explorations. So what I'm going to do is I'm mainly using a Jupyter notebook because data science, I like to code and see my outputs immediately. So I prefer to use Jupyter notebook rather than typing everything on a Python file and see on terminal. So data science is all over like programming as well as data. I would say 50% or 60% data and 30 or 40% programming. So it's always good to look at the data by yourself and see all the intermediate steps. So what we are going to do is we are going to use a basic data science dataset, which is titanic.csv, which is very standard. Let me see. Okay, I'm downloading the data. Let me select, selected. Data.csv, putting it here. Cool. So since the main purpose of this session is to understand how to use CoPilot and other tools, so I'm using like very simple dataset. So whatever we are going to see now, we can also replicate the same with very challenging big data sets as well. Cool. So the first thing what I usually do is I open Jupyter notebook, and before writing any code, in the right hand side I like to open a chat window. In that chat window I do a few things. First let's open the chat window. Here I'm clicking this one. It says open chat window. So chat windows here. So currently it adds whatever in this main.ipynp as a context here. So if I have written some code here, this CoPilot also knows what are the things I have written here. So it can answer based on my previous code and my new questions. So this is a context. I think we can also delete the context if we don't want to use it. So currently I deleted the context because it's almost empty dataset, empty file. So now what I'm going to do is I will copy first few rows. Go here. So I have a data.csv. First few rows looks like this. Then paste the data. Write full working code for EDA, include analysis and 8 data visualization. Cool. So currently this is my prompt, and if you see the bottom, I have written I have selected a few models. So you can see we can access O1 preview, O1 mini, GPT-4o and Claude 3.5 Sonnet. So if I'm planning something like really complex things, I like to use O1 preview. Then once the planning is done, I can change my model and ask it to write for more code. Then generally for programming, I like to use Claude 3.5 Sonnet. This Claude 3.5 Sonnet is super new, like less than a month ago, and currently this has high accuracy on most of the metrics related to programming. So a lot of people say this is really helpful for programming. So I like to use Claude 3.5 Sonnet. Sometimes when Claude 3.5 Sonnet fails, I might try O1 mini and code or ask it to write few more code. Cool. So let's choose Claude 3.5 Sonnet and click enter. So you can see currently it's doing few things. It's thinking. Create notebook. Okay, it says it's generating something. Let's see. Okay. It's still generating because we also asked for visualizations. Okay, so it has created a complete Jupyter notebook with headings, import data, and there are a few things it doesn't work. For example, in Jupyter notebook, I think it has still generating code. As you can see, generating section, passenger class analysis. Maybe let's wait for that. Once it's done, we can run and see if we are getting any issues. Yep. So since it's live stream on YouTube, you can watch it anytime, and it's public. Cool. It's really nice. It's like creating lots of code, like complete analysis. As you can see, currently it's generating family size impact. Still generating. I think this is the last one, port of embarkation analysis. So these things we cannot do with cursor yet. Cursor we can generate code on normal Python, but it won't do these kind of things. I find this is super helpful. Like it has created like almost all EDA. Maybe now let's run one by one. So there are a few things I didn't like. For example, in Jupyter Notebook, if I run this, it will only show the last one in the output. It won't show all these results. So what I usually do is I try to cut and paste like a new cell so that I can see the output. Maybe let's run this. Select kernel GPT. Cool. Okay, I saved this file. Now I'm running this. Select kernel. Okay. Okay. So here I can see the results. So I like to print. Okay, if I print, I can see some results. This looks okay. Then data cleaning and missing values. Let's run this. So it found a few missing values. Maybe let's, okay, I zoomed a little bit. Okay. So here what we are doing is finding missing values and visualize the missing values and analyze the distribution of missing values. Then it also handles the missing values, which is nice. So currently these are missing value and most of the missing values are in cabin and age, and rest looks fine. And there are few missing rows in import. So here you can also see the distribution, like percentage. We can ignore the warnings. Then after filling the missing values, this is how the data looks like. Then let's do some basic statistical analysis. Let's run this. Okay, so we got some error message. Now let's try fixing those. Okay. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is fix using CoPilot. I just clicked in this line, and there is this magic button. I can click this. I can say fix using CoPilot. If I click this one, let's see what it does. And okay, here the error occurs because value error could not convert. Okay, it understands the error message. We didn't pass the error message at all, so it knows what's the error message. Then it also fixed the error message. If I'm happy with this, I can click accept and run. If I need more clarifications, I can ask CoPilot more questions. I find it super helpful. Like, let's click accept and run. Okay. So after accepting and run, it gives me like tick, which is success. There is no error there. Let's see. Okay, we have got a correlation map and distribution of survived and distribution of P class, sex, age distribution, fat distribution, survival rate P class, and a few other things. Maybe let's say I want to understand more on this correlation map. Let's copy this and let's paste it here. Okay, it doesn't work. I need to download and attach. So attach context. I cannot insert image yet, but on cursor we can insert image and ask questions. So that's one difference I can notice now. Cool. Okay. So now let's do survival rate analysis. Let's run the code. Okay, it generated lots and lots of code. So let's say you want to fix, you don't want to see all the warnings. What you can do is in this beginning, you can say import warnings, or you can say something like, so to do that, what I did is, let's click escape. I'm here, Command I. So if you are using Windows, it should be like Control I. On Mac, it's Command I. I did Command I. Here I'm going to say ignore warnings. Let's see what it says. So I'm assuming it's going to write 2 lines of code. Yes. Okay, it didn't import. Oh, okay, it imported here. Let's copy this. Cool. So this looks good. So let's run this. Now there is no warning message. Okay. So now let's run this one. Okay, it all worked. There you now you can't see any warning message, which is nice. Cool. Now let's do age distribution analysis. Shift enter. Okay, it has written lots and lots of code. This is super helpful. And passenger class analysis. This is nice. So most of the passengers are in third class, 24% people are in first class, and 20% are in second class. Cool. So survival distribution. So people in class 3, they didn't survive much. People in class 2, they survived most compared to, sorry, survived is 1. Okay, I think it did some mess up here. I can ask it to fix, but now let's move on. Cool. So let's run this one, gender analysis. So here, survival rate by gender and embarked. So most of the females survived, and especially people who embarked in this one, C, they survived most. Maybe let's use water, yes, C, Q in import Titanic dataset. Sometimes it won't answer. Generally, CoPilot answers only programming related things, since this is like previous context that has some programming, so it answers. Okay, So people who embarked from C, which is this one, France, they got survived most compared to other areas. Cool. Maybe let's copy this and create a new one and ask the same question. Okay, it still explains, which is nice. Cool. So when I was when I was playing with CoPilot last week, it didn't answer questions that's not related to programming. Um, since this Titanic dataset may be probably used in most data science projects, it knows it's related to data science and it answers. For example, what are the most tourist attractions in Sydney? Okay, now it says, sorry, I cannot answer with general tourism questions. I'm designed to help specifically with programming and software development tasks in Visual Studio Code. Please ask questions related to coding, development, or VS Code functionality. Okay, so this is what it says. But the workaround is, maybe let's try something clever. Just copy this, maybe create a new one, paste it. Building a web app to show attractions, list out the places. I will be using Python. So we are adding some programming context like Python, web app. Okay, now it's giving something. Okay, so there are a few workarounds, like when you ask some questions, always make sure it's related to programming, or try to make it related to programming so it answers. But on on Cursor, you can ask any questions and it won't do these kind of filtering. It still answers. Cool. This is not too bad. Okay, now fat distribution analysis. Shift enter. Okay, it has created quite a few analyses, which is nice. So the fat, most people paid super cheap, and there are a few expensive ones like 500. So people who paid very high, they got survived. Probably people who paid very high, they are in the top floor or something like that. So when Titanic sinks, they have more time to escape. So that could be the reason. There is a clear trend. Cool. So now let's see family size impact. So I have done these kind of analysis on many AI tools, but honestly, this CoPilot has given me lots and lots of code with just one or two prompts. I didn't write lots of prompts, just one prompt I did. So this is the only prompt. This is the only prompt I have done. And even it created a notebook and a lot of other things. I find it super helpful. Cool. Okay, now let's do port embarkation analysis. Okay, so most people from Southampton, yes, 72%, and few from other places. Okay, so now what I can do is I can ask it to create more code for machine learning models. Maybe let's ask it to build a random forest model. Write code to build a random forest model and show top features and confusion metrics. since this window also has access to all the previous questions we have asked, so we don't have to say specifically about the dataset. It's giving some code. Okay, so now let's copy this, paste, let's run this. Okay, so it builds some model, and the model, I think around 83% accurate, and you can see the confusion matrix. There is some misclassification, but generally it's okay, not too bad. And these are some of the important features: sex, age, family size, p-class, and impact. Cool. Maybe let's say you want to interpret more on this, just copy this, paste it here, write 100 words report on this. Okay, it has written something, and let's copy, insert into notebook, click this, and it inserted here, which is nice. Cool. I feel like maybe let's ask it to create a Streamlit app. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this titanic.ipynb as a context, and then ask it to create a Streamlit app. Let's do that. So here I click hash, and then I can attach the code titanic.ipynb. Now it knows all the things we have written here as a context. Now write code for creating a Streamlit app. Probably for Streamlit app, I'm quickly changing it to O1 Mini. Let's see what it does. So this is pretty helpful because we can change model depending on complexity of the task. So generally I prefer Sonnet 3.5, but when Sonnet 3.5 fails, I like to use O1 preview, and for general understanding and other things I use O1 preview. Okay, it has written a fee code. Maybe let's say I want more, like I didn't like this. So now I can change my model, and probably let's ask the same question. Titanic.csv, sorry, ipynb, and then let's copy the same, write code for creating a Streamlit app. Let's see which one gives more things. Now you can see it's collecting the workspace information, and it's also doing some filtering for most relevant information. Okay, still building workspace syntax. Cool. So what it does is it's trying to understand all these things, and it builds as a context. Then probably behind the scene it uses like rack system. Cool. Let's see what it does. I also noticed CoPilot also does some cost effective. Usually it won't pass all the data to the model. It passes only the relevant chunks to the model. But on cursor, it passes fully. Like if there is a notebook here and I add that as a context, it passes everything. Okay, so I find Sonnet model is writing more code compared to O1 Mini, which is nice. So that's why I mostly prefer Sonnet 3.5 for programming. So let's say I'm happy with this one. Just copy this, copy, and create a new file, app.py, paste it here, Okay, I pasted. Now I'm going to run this code. So terminal, new terminal. Even we can use CoPilot in terminal. Let's say I don't know how to run this file. This is a Streamlit app. What I'm going to do is I'm in terminal. I'm doing command I. Oh, sorry. I think it's not coming. Okay, CoPilot. Start in terminal. Cool. So now what I'm going to do is run app.py Streamlit app. Now it says some commands. I can click or I can directly run. When I click run, it put everything there and it opened this screen. Currently it's running. I think it also builds the model probably. So let's wait. Okay. So I'm paying for Cursor Pro and allowing it for code development for Python. However, jealous the CoPilot can run Jupyter notebooks. That would be very useful. Yeah, even I feel the same. Since CoPilot is super, like they upgraded a lot of things, I'm expecting it will add lots of new features as well. Also, one thing with Cursor is we are paying like $20, 20 US dollars, and there are like 500 messages we can send. But with CoPilot, I don't see any limitations yet. I haven't spent a lot of time, but so far it's so good. Like I can ask quite a few open preview messages. It didn't stop me, so I find it helpful. So when CoPilot generates a notebook, does it look at the results of one cell before creating the next cell? Because you have chosen a commonly known data type, when would CoPilot not be regular previous to EDA done? Yeah, that's a good question. It knows the general code. I feel like it also knows from the CSV file we passed. It knows the column names and other things. Predominantly, it uses the both knowledge. But also, I have done similar things on completely new data set. Even in new data set, if you provide some first 5 rows or 10 rows as a context, still it can write pretty great code without lots of bugs. I don't think it sees the results previously. Even I had same question previously. I checked. It doesn't see the results. I think Cursor doesn't see the results. I'm not super sure about CoPilot. Maybe we can ask. Like, maybe let's see the notebook first, and then we can ask that question. Okay, so it has created a notebook and overview. And this is passenger demographics and survival analysis, and survival analysis by gender, by age, by far. Okay, then machine learning model. So this is the model and confusion matrix and classification report. Okay, this looks good. Maybe let's ask. My question is, so I think Tim's question is, let's say, okay, I'm going to create a new message and I'm going to attach my Titanic.ipynb. The main question is, I want to understand whether it has access to only the code, also the results. Okay. Maybe let's ask, explain my random forest model results. Okay. Cool. Now it access Titanic.ipynb. I'll be happy. Okay. I'll be happy if it sees this and answers. Probably it also knows. Okay. No response was returned. Okay. I think it didn't read these things carefully. Maybe let's ask one more time. What's the accuracy you can see? Maybe before that, let's delete this cell. So because it's written here. I want to know whether it reads the results as well. So let's delete everything, reattach. What's the accuracy? Sorry, maybe what's the F1 score for macro average in my model results? Explain. Cool. So if it sees the results and it explains, which is great. I don't think, okay, I cannot see your model results or any active code in the workspace to analyze the F1 score to help. Okay, it cannot see even CoPilot, it cannot see the results. It sees all the code, but it cannot see the results. I think probably in future they might change. I see a lot of value in that. So currently what I do is I just copy paste all the results and then ask it to write a few things. Otherwise I convert the Jupyter notebook to HTML file. Once it's HTML file, I can copy all the things and I can paste it on ChatGPT and ask a few questions. We can also do the same on CoPilot. Cool. I think we did a quick exploration on CoPilot. Probably I'm going to stop here now, and in the next few sessions that I'm going to teach, I will focus more on CoPilot and other AI tools. For now, let's end here. Maybe play with it and you can share your feedback on our Slack channel or YouTube messages. Thanks everyone. See you all next time.